What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk about everything you need to know about riding boots. Let's go!
1, 3, 5, go!
Coming from the wild, wild West Indies.
Okay guys, so the first thing you're probably wondering about is what board works well with boots. I'm going to use my Toner Pop as an example of a great board for boot riding. Because basically when you start riding boots on a board, you want to make sure it's built to take the extra stress of being locked into your board. Because if you have a board that's not really built for boots, you can end up pulling out your inserts. And yeah, most boot specific boards are kind of built a lot stronger to take the wear and tear of being able to, load and pop really hard, be able to ride up kickers, hit rails, ride up the beach, stuff like that. So yeah, we're going to use my Toner Pop as an example. You notice the board's a little bit thicker than most boards because it has a nice strong wood core. Also has reinforced inserts, so it's built to be able to take a lot of tweaking on the actual deck of the board. And it also comes with a slider base, which means it's pretty much bomb proof. You can ride over a reef, I wouldn't recommend riding over a reef, but you can ride over rocks, ride over sand, hit kickers, hit rails, and kind of never have to worry about the bottom of your board wearing away. Whereas a lot of other boards that don't have that slider base or aren't built to, be used in that type of way will wear away and end up breaking down on you. So yeah, definitely do a little bit of research or check out the Toner Pop if you're looking for a great boot specific board. So yeah, now that we've gotten past that, I'm going to touch a little bit on the actual setup of the board, because now that you're locked in, your feet don't really have the movement that they're going to have in foot straps. So you kind of want to think about that a little bit. So let's touch on actually setting up your stance and your duck on your board. So yeah, basically with boots, your feet are locked in, so you kind of want to have the stance and the duck, basically how much the toes of your boots point out, set to your stance. You can kind of go off your foot strap stance for actually how wide you put the boots, but the duck can take a little while to figure out. Usually I just kind of stand right next to my board, just kind of jump and land in a natural stance, and then wherever your feet kind of end up, that's roughly where you want your duck to be. You don't want too much duck, because that can end up working your knees a little bit harder than they need to be worked, because if your legs like way out, when you land, your knees start bending in a pretty unnatural way. So yeah, you can start out with them fairly straight, or just go off where your feet end up. Only things you got to look out for if you're riding along and you notice you feel like the board's kind of, not the board, you notice that the boots are kind of pushing against your foot, you feel like you want to like open up a little bit more, that means you just need a little bit more duck. So it may take a few sessions to kind of fine tune the exact stance, but basically once you got your stance set and your duck set, you're pretty much good to go. So let's head to the beach and talk a little bit about some of the stuff you're gonna have to deal with now that you're locked into your board. Okay, so now that we've got to the beach, board's all set up, ready to go, there's a few things you're gonna have to deal with. The big one is just actually getting the board on your feet, booting up, because this is actually a whole nother thing. It's not as easy as just popping your foot into some foot straps and heading out. So you want to be fairly good at kite control, you want to be fairly good at starting us off from the beach. And then yeah, the basics of getting into your board when you first start, I recommend just kind of starting right on the shoreline, pretty close to where the water is, and just kind of fall back on your bum, keep your kite around 2-3 o'clock, so it's kind of up but not all the way up to 12, not all the way down, and then just kind of fly and try and lace up your boots. But if you're having trouble with that, which you probably will do if you're not used to dealing with that stuff on the beach, you can just put your kite down on the water or down on the sands, just lay it all the way down, let the bar out, and the kite should just sit there, and that will allow you to kind of forget about the kite, get your boots nice and tight, get all suited up, and then you can just kind of launch your kite back up and head out. So that's kind of the beginning way of starting to get the board on your feet. As you get better, you'll be able to kind of just keep your kite up at 12 o'clock and just kind of let go and quickly boot up and go off like a real pro. But that takes a little while, so definitely just start with the kite down and get used to booting up so you don't look like a kook and end up getting dragged all over the place. So yeah, once you've gotten accustomed to getting in your boots, you basically get out the same way. So when you come into the beach, you can kind of keep your kite up at 12 and just undo everything, pop your feet out. Getting out is actually a lot easier than getting into your boots. So yeah, now that you know how to get in and out of your boots, let's talk about how to like kind of maneuver around on the beach and kind of, you know, get to where you can actually get off the sand and into the water. So yeah, now that you're locked into the board, you know, you're locked in. You don't have your feet to kind of move around. So this can be a little bit weird when you first start. You may just be a few feet away from the water, but you just actually can't get to the water because you're stuck. You jump, you just can't move upwind. So the biggest technique to know about for this is you kind of want to just use the edge of your board. So you're going to kind of roll forward and just get on your toes, and then basically use the edge of your board to kind of knife the sand or the beach or wherever you're at, and that can allow you to kind of grab and start kind of jumping upwind. That's the most efficient way to kind of get upwind or basically get upwind to where you want to be. So let's say the beach is right there and you just want to go upwind a little bit to get to the water so where you can take off. Use that toe board edge technique and you'll be able to kind of move around wherever you want. And then besides that, you can also kind of use a penguin technique where you're kind of just using one tip of the board, other tip of the board, and that kind of allows you to kind of shuffle along. That can be useful if you kind of just want to go downwind a little bit. But really, the knife technique is kind of the best one to know about and test out. So once you get that kind of dialed in, you'll be able to move around wherever you want and be able to start and stop from the beach. No stress. Okay, so now that you're locked in, you know how to get off the beach. Now you're in the water, you're shredding, you're riding. There's a few things that's going to happen that you kind of want to watch out for. The big one is wipeouts. You can end up wiping out a lot harder with boots because you're locked into the board. There's not really any give, and when you wipe out, the board's going to stay attached. So that means the board can kind of become an anchor. So you want to just be aware of catching your edge. You want to watch out for that. So whenever you fall, just make sure you kind of like roll forward, roll back, so you don't end up just catching your edge and turning a very small wipeout into a very amplified hard face or back plant. And then once you are aware of that stuff, when you end up crashing, there's a few things you're gonna encounter as well. Sometimes when you crash, you're gonna end up with the board behind you, and there's a few ways you can kind of get the board back in front of you. Basically, you want to kind of bring your kite up to 12 o'clock and then just kind of roll your shoulders, keep your core tight, and just try and roll your legs underneath you to get them back in front. That's the easiest way to kind of get your legs back in front of you, allow you to get back up and riding. A lot of people struggle with that when they first, try boots and they get into a crash and like, oh man, how do I get my board back under me? So easiest way is just to roll your shoulders, roll the board under, and you're back to shredding. As you get better, you can actually do a jump technique because you're actually stuck in the water. The friction of your board grabbing onto the water allows you to kind of send a jump, and that allows you to kind of pop up and out of the water and land. And that's a super cool, fun technique. If people see you doing that, they're like, well, he must be pretty good at kiting, because it's kind of an advanced thing to know about. So yeah, there's lots of room to go into stuff like that, but here I'm just touching everything you guys need to know so you can start just rolling or send a jump and be on your way. And then another thing you're going to deal with is when you crash your kite. So let's say you wipe out, kites crash straight downwind you, and again the board's right behind you. This can be kind of a freaky situation if you've never been in that situation, because the kite's going to be pulling you, you're going to be flat in your stomach, and it's kind of an awkward position to relaunch your kite. So again, here you want to focus on trying to get your feet back in front of you. And it's a little bit tricky because the kite's not up at 12, the kite's down and it's pulling you down. So the best technique for this is to kind of grab onto the center line of your bar, so kind of where your chicken loop is, just up from that, the deep power line. You want to grab onto that and just kind of use that as leverage. So you're going to push down, and again, core tight, and you're just going to try and push down and suck your legs underneath you. And if you take your time, do it right, your legs will just pop up in front of you, and you'll be in a much better position to get your kite back up for a few reasons. Basically, you're pushing against the kite, so you're already like creating a lot more tension on the lines, which makes it easy to relaunch, and you're just in a much more natural position. So whenever you crash, kite's down, board behind you, you want to make sure you get your feet back in front of you and then get the kite back up. And then the last thing you kind of need to know about when you're out kiting with boots is how to kind of stop in the water, because again, you're attached to your board, so there's no way to kind of just get the board off very quickly. So let's say your kite goes down and you're about to get dragged in some rocks, or you kind of just want to ride up to a friend in like waist to chest deep water and just stop and have a chat for a second. it's a little bit tricky on boots because you're attached, and as you stop, when you first try it, you're going to end up kind of floating back or floating forward and falling over. So yeah, the key with actually, you know, being able to sink your board and stand up wherever you want once it's shallow like this is you want to come in real slow, kite up to 12, and then just kind of just push your board down slowly into water. It'll kind of want to push you back. You may fall back a few times, but once you push down, keep the bar in and keep yourself flat, you kind of just start, you know, sinking, and then you can kind of stand and hold your ground. And this technique's super useful for if you just want to stop somewhere like this, or your kite goes down on the beach and you want to stop it from like going into some trees. This like stop and sink technique, super duper useful. So yeah guys, that pretty much sums up everything you need to know about riding boots. There's lots of benefits to riding boots. If you haven't seen the video that I made talking about all this, it'll be linked up above and also down in the description below. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, hang on, don't go yet. I want to tell you about my Patreon page. Basically, Patreon allows me to continue making these videos because my goal with YouTube and creating these tutorials is to just educate people on kiting and basically answer any question that any kiteboarder is ever going to have. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos, definitely check out my Patreon page. It'll be linked up above and also down below. You'll get access to all the tutorials I've already made. You'll get early access to all the videos I make in the future. And yeah, if you just want to join in on this journey, check it out. Would love to have you. And that's pretty much it guys. Hopefully this video helps you have a lot more fun on your next session. Maybe it helps you kind of take the leap and at least have a board set up. Even if it's not something you ride all the time, it's super fun to have in the quiver. And yeah, that's pretty much it guys. Big thanks for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. And I'll see you guys soon. Peace, love, and big up.